Welcome to episode 6 of the Ink and Pass podcast. I'm your host, Elijah. I'm joined with Ivan, and then from the same room, Austin and Rachel. Today, we're going to be talking about some tournament prep because I know you guys got an event that you're prepping for, and hopefully, I'll make it there too. But before we get into that, we have a couple things to talk about. So, why don't we start with our weeks in Lorcana? And I'm going to start us off on some bad news, and that is that my power line days are over. There's no more time for fun testing.
No.
I'm sorry.
Tragic.
I'm sorry. It's over. We're playing real decks now. So I ended my
What?
power line. What?
It's
What?
only real decks now?
Only real decks now. Look, I had my fun. And I'll talk about this, but I quad Lilo'd Austin, and I was like, that's it. We're done. So on Wednesday, I brought Powerline again. I found my Lilo, so I put them back in the deck. And then in my game against Austin, I proceeded to combo off and in 4 turns play all 4 Lilos and basically win the game. It was turn 5?
Turn 5, because you had to play the power line just like raw the turn before. You went like Cindy, played power line, and I was like, okay, I have like one turn where I can maybe do something.
Right.
Needed to go dig a little deeper into dig a little deeper off of the power line trigger.
Yep.
Into develop, into play a Lilo for free,
Right.
into dig a little deeper,
Yeah.
into
Nuts.
Dino, into play 3 Lilos.
Wow,
like
that's
a
so
Lilo for free,
broken.
thing
Wow, that's
Dino,
so
Lilo for
it's
free.
so broken it must be good. Turns out no.
And then I'm gonna start to top it all off, and somehow I almost cleared this whole board.
And
but
then
it wasn't.
But you didn't, so I won the game.
But I didn't. I didn't
So-
clear.
Powerline OP.
Yeah,
most of it.
literally. So basically, that game happened and I retired the deck. So I went back to Purple Steel and it's the same deck. It hasn't changed, but I should get reps on it. So bad news. The fun times are over. It's time to lock in. So that was my week
No.
basically, just making the decision that it's over. We're playing Lorcana now. So Ivan, why don't we go to you and hopefully you have some better news for us.
We're still having fun now.
Yay.
Let's see. So as with every set, you always kind of want to experiment in different ways. One is by using established decks with a sprinkle of, new cards to see what can make it a little bit better, what stabilizes, what counters, etc. And then there's, just making just brand new decks up and going from there. I had a nice mix. So far, I've gone 2-1 with every experimental deck. Let's see. Green blue with the new princesses, Belle, Moana. Well, Cindy's not new, but Belle and Moana do so much work in this meta, I think. Blue green felt pretty good. Ruby Amethyst was my latest experiment last Monday. I still love Ruby Amethyst, just hard to let that go. But, experimenting to see if the new cards change its flow at all, to see, is it competitive now? Can it fight back? And experimenting is ongoing, but I feel like right now it's at a spot where like you have to work really hard for those wins, and a little bit of luck definitely helps. But I'm not sure if it's enough to break through the meta. But we'll see. It's still evolving, and we'll talk about it too when we talk about meta and meta decks and whatnot. What else? Oh, and of course, Amber Steel, the quote-unquote John Smith's Compass deck, which it's just so much fun. It's so good.
Except
You
when I have to play against it and I don't see anything until turn 4.
Oh yeah.
Against an aggro
It's
deck?
so unfortunate. Yeah.
Ooh, ref.
But overall, the decks are testing pretty well, pretty fun. Let's see, green, purple's up there. Like, so the decks are performing, but as with all things, they're going to take time and experimentation. But so far, so good for testing.
Yeah, and you like experimenting for a while, so
Yeah, it takes a little bit to figure out what works in what decks. Even though Isis is really good, I love the effect. Does it fit in Purple Steel better? Does it fit in Ruby Amethyst better? Does it fit in Blurple better? Does it have a home in anything right now? Is Sven better? Like, so these are all questions and experimentations that need to happen before you realize, all right, maybe it works better in this deck versus this deck because of this matchup. And I think that that little bit of experimentation is going to go a long way when it comes to um, bigger tournaments. And again, we'll get to that, but
yeah,
that's the whole point of experimenting.
right. Because if you can find something that's broken, it gives you an advantage.
Oh my God. Tigger's pretty good in X.
X deck, yeah.
So, like, yeah, lots of things could come out of that.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Austin, how about you? How was your week?
Pretty good, I'd say. I'm still jamming my Ruby Amber shenanigans. I'll go at, like a little bit during like our main topic more about like how my deck is like kind of coming together, but we went back to Ruby Amber songs, made some changes there. We got rid of Powerline, unfortunately. Little too, yeah, I know.
Huge
I know.
mistake.
Little too.
You tried. You both tried very hard.
Look,
It's very good
Good
when it
That's
works.
crazy.
It's really bad when it doesn't work at all, unfortunately.
right.
So we changed some cards out where it's a little less. It's still combo oriented the way that the deck is like built, because you're built around cheating the characters out. If you don't see any of the cheating characters out stuff, you're just kind of a slow deck. But I think it's a little more consistent now, which I think is going to help overall. And it's been doing good. I've been testing it a lot during League. Faced a ton of Blurple. Really close matchups overall. I think it's actually just with the high copies of Grab Your Bow. I think it's actually like a pretty close matchup. They can't just sit there with hiding behind like Elsas and Genies. If you get a properly timed like Della's into like sniping a Cheshire Cat, that's also really good. I think Cheshire Cat's probably the hardest part for that matchup. Go figure. Just moving the damage counters around, like dealing with the damage characters I'm trying to heal with Ruben, or trying to keep a copper safe from being like instantly banished with just like a little bit of damage removal. That way can like continue to swing into boards is pretty important.
It's the cleanest way to deal with the cat.
Either supporting it with a Lenaway and then World's Greatest, or in my deck I could also Della's into Banish with Horseman or Grab Your Bow. But it's been pretty good overall. I do think the deck has no chance into yellow blue, so I just hope it doesn't show up. But it's part of the prep that I'm going to test it some more tomorrow, and then hopefully some on Friday, and we'll nail down a list. But we're going good. I think we got something brewing here.
Yeah. I'll have to ask you a couple more questions when we get into the main topic about it. But also for the audience, he doesn't actually think the name is Elenaway, just so you know.
Oh, you're right. It's Elan Wee. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Never seen the movie she's from, so
Neither
I wouldn't know.
I actually have no idea.
I think. Okay, we've seen the movie once. I think they say her name different every time.
Fair.
Like,
so do the players, so it
They're
works.
not sure.
Differently.
When we watched Black Cauldron, I was really playing a lot of Hades 2, and that character's name is Melenaway.
Oh,
Uh,
It's permanently stuck in my head that way. It's Illinois. That's what it is.
all right, valid. And if nobody knows, it's like Balatro. They just say whoever says it the most confident is the one who's right. So it's like that.
Yeah, for Saturday, I'm just gonna pronounce it differently every time I play it, and then
Just
we'll
be
see if
super
my
confident about it.
the mind games.
Right. All right. And then Rachel, before we get into your week in Lorcana, we do this thing where when we introduce ourselves, we tell everybody what our favorite deck is. So, what is your favorite deck of all time in Lorcana? It can be banned or out of rotation.
Uh, it's out of rotation now, but my favorite deck to play was around set 5. It was green steel, but it wasn't quite. It wasn't quite the discard package. It didn't have like Prince John. I don't think. Yeah, it didn't have Prince John. It wasn't
It was very
running.
not discard heavy, yeah.
It was very not discard. It was more about pinging things, drawing cards with Diablo, and by pinging things, if in the late game, getting that legendary set 2 beast out that would reset every time an opposing character is
Crazy card.
damaged,
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
we love it.
and just abusing the crap out of that. So
Yeah, I mean
I'm
that's
so happy you said that deck just because I remember specifically seeing you go through a tournament and playing the 4-drop Stitch. I think it's a 1/4
Yeah.
that deals 2 damage on play, but she was
Mhm.
killing Diablo
Oh my
after
god.
Diablo
So
after
good into
Diablo.
the
It was so
mirror.
good.
Like, holy
Green Steel Mirror Destroyer over here,
yeah.
Rachel. Yeah.
A
Yes, it was
4-drop and
so
a
Yeah.
yellow.
satisfying watching her kill Diablos with that Stitch.
which that was the first day I'd actually put that Stitch in. I hadn't played the deck much with that Stitch in there, but it just really worked out that day. So and that is like the only time I've made 1 or 2 spot in a set champ. So yay.
Shout out that
Hey,
Stitch.
Got your Mirabelle mat with that.
I did get my Mirabelle mat.
W,
Yeah.
when they were still doing second place ones.
Bring back the second play mat,
Mm-hmm.
please.
Yeah. Agreed.
Give us some hope.
All right. And then how was your week this week in Lorcana?
My week was good. I took a break from trying to figure out my purple green boost deck. That's kind of what I was working on since Winter Spell dropped because I really liked the legendary Donald, but I've switched back over into Blurple for now for the tournament we'll be doing on Saturday, which we'll get more into that. But really the only Blurple changes, I'll go into that later. But it's performing pretty well. Got some text in there to deal with some of the newer mirror matches, dogs, things like that. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think it's cool that we all chose these decks to test with, and I'm glad because I know you were excited about the boost cards and green purple, so I'm glad you had a chance to test that before we got into
Yeah,
locking in for an event.
I just want to go back to it. I mean, I've been playing Blurple since Fabled now, and I will say with each set since Fabled, I like Blurple even more now, as I don't have to depend on second start of the right, which I could never get that to combo off for me. I could never get enough sing together on the board, so I definitely do like playing Blurple more now, but I'd rather play a more fun deck, or a less meta deck if I can.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, and that, like finding the blend between fun and meta is always a struggle, but I feel like all of us we try.
If I had more time, purple green, I may have been able to get it to a place where I'd bring it to a tournament, but there wasn't.
Yeah,
There's not
it's
enough
also a
time.
deck that has a ton of new cards, so it's very hard to tell like
Yeah,
what is actually very good in it. No,
exactly.
but shout out to you. I'm excited to see how the rest of that deck plays out. I'm excited to see it, and I kind of want to try it. All right. now that we are through our weeks in Lorcana, we're gonna pause because I think I might have a bloody nose.
And I'm like, I
Yo.
played the
Oh.
deck.
I'm gonna be honest.
Chat, he's back.
This is the worst bloody
Are
nose
you
I've
okay?
ever had.
Oh, Austin muted you.
That's crazy.
So it's gonna be a couple more minutes.
This is fine.
It's
He's
going to
not-
be an interesting cut. It's going to be you, and then it's going to be you with a tissue in your nose. That'll edit out in post.
Yeah,
Yeah.
editor, I got my box of tissues now. Just in case it happens again. It shouldn't though. We should be good. Okay. We're just gonna go right in. We're gonna go right into talking about the events, and hopefully my nose just doesn't bleed again. So
Sure.
we had two events this weekend. We had the DLC Melbourne, and then we had a CCQ in somewhere. I don't remember where it was. But they were two fairly well attended events, and they had very similar meta spread results, at least like conversion to day 2 kind of thing. So the way it ended up sorting out was these events had like 25% blurple or something, 20 to 25%, and then like 12% dogs and 12% purple steel or blue green. So ultimately, without knowing the exact numbers, I know we have like kind of the numbers up on the screen, and I have them on my phone. I'm not looking at them currently, but
That's roughly what it was. Yeah, it was but the difference between the CCQ and the DLC was like the CCQ had like percentage wise more purple steel,
gotcha.
and like that sucked away some of the like some of the dog and some of the blurple share. But blue green was like the same across both pretty much.
All right. Well, thank you for backing
But
me up
those
on that.
numbers are basically the same. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. But ultimately, my biggest takeaway from this is the meta has not changed at all. And then, like looking at these lists, their card lists have barely changed. But the first question I want to pose to you guys is, do we think this is just how the meta is going to play out, or do we think this is more of just like it's an early event, we're going to play what we're comfortable with, let's bring what we think is the best deck? And it was very clear that Blurple got some powerful tools, especially with Let It Go, and like maybe Sven, but definitely with Let It Go. So Ivan, what are your thoughts?
I'm finding Pete is a game changer too.
I'd honestly have to take a look at the list, but yes, Pete is also very good, and I could definitely see how that made some of the lists. But Ivan, what do you think?
I think to say, I honestly think saying that the meta hasn't changed is a bad expectation. You can't look at a DLC that occurs 2 weeks after a new set comes out and say, yep, meta hasn't changed, because the best players are not going to suddenly come up with the craziest decks and have confidence enough to bring them into a DLC. Most players are definitely going to go into a DLC using what works already and what they had enough time to experiment with. So I just think it's not viable to say, yep, I don't know. I just don't think it's a good expectation.
I get what you're saying. I am gonna push back a little bit though, because like while we have had these cards out for 2 weeks ish, we have known about these cards for much longer than that, and these good players are also the ones that are testing these cards immediately once they see them and gravitating towards the strong cards no matter what colors they are in. And good players are able to pick out the cards that are good and the cards that are bad. And I'm sure they have tested with certain cards in certain decks, like Isis and Sven and Blurple decks, and then decided that they were bad. And then, so while I think, yes, this is, and I guess this goes into my opinion on what this means, but I guess while this is not what the whole meta is going to be going forward. These events were definitely going to set a precedent for what the meta will be like. And we're starting off with a very similar meta to what we ended with. Not to say that there are some tier 2 decks that are in the wings, but I think the top 3, top 4 decks that we saw, Dogs, Blue Green, Blurple, Purple Steel, like I think these are the top dogs, and I think they will define what comes out of this meta. But
Top dogs, you say?
I'm I'm curious what you guys, like Austin and Rachel, what you guys think. I don't know. I think I'd push back a little on saying that this isn't at all what it's going to be like, because I do think that this
Oh,
sets like a pretty good precedent of what we're going to be dealing with for the rest of the set.
yeah.
I don't think
Something that we talked about during a previous podcast was, you gotta beat the main decks to be the main decks, I guess you could say. Um, so, like, as an example, Purple Steel, Dogs, and Blurple right now were the most represented decks. And they were already the most represented decks outside of like Blue Green, which was still there. Ruby Amethyst was still there. They weren't like the top. But a lot of the tools that came out in support of these. It was the easiest thing to do was to put Grandmother Willow into Dogs. So that gave the best boost in it. So naturally, I already know how to play Dogs. Let me just go ahead and put this easy card in, and now I'm just going to continue playing Dogs because I know that deck.
Same
So
with
it's
VR,
that's what I'm saying
let
is
it
like,
go.
yeah, like let it go. Like you're going to see the easiest cards to be put into decks. That's why I say like don't expect anything drastic. It's been too soon. No purple, like for example, purple amber didn't come out from the last meta, I guess you could say, until who was it? Zan Syed, I think,
Yeah,
who won a
with monster
tournament with it.
combo, yeah. And
Yeah,
then
monster
people
combo
evolved it into the
into non-monster combo. Like, oh, by the way, this amber card, Horseman Strikes, is actually kind of good into purple decks, and purple decks are everywhere. But it took a while before that deck came out. Like, it wasn't like the first week after a set came out. Like, it took a lot of experimentation and a good meta call. So, like, right now, again, with it being a fresh set, that's what I'm saying is like, don't expect anything too drastic. You're going to see the small changes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Why don't you go, Rachel? I was gonna push
Yeah.
back after everybody else went. So yeah, why don't you go?
I was just gonna say I feel like Blue Steel, more people are playing that now too, I've seen lately. That's becoming
Locally or in like the big tournaments?
both.
Uh,
Maybe not in tournaments, but just in
there
leagues.
was a good chunk. There was about 5 to 6% at the one event, and then there was 17
I
people
know
at the
it's
CCQ, which
popularity
is like
growing.
7. So compared to like the top decks, not a bunch, but it's still up there in like the top 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Um, but genuinely, like it's still up there as maybe like a tier 2, and I think with the Pete and everything, you're definitely not wrong in saying that this deck has gotten some upgrades, and some
And then
people could be on it.
is it Marty that's running purple yellow right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His purple yellow's been consistent, like killing it
So yeah, I think it's
for the past few weeks.
I do have to kind of agree with Ivan a little bit more here that just it is going to be like the earlier tournaments are definitely going to be the more just like splash some of the new powerful stuff in as opposed to like new archetypes, right? And to the fact that saying the meta hasn't changed at all, like yeah, the top share of decks, like the ink colors, like kind of look the same, the ones that are on the top, which makes sense. They were on the top before. There were powerful cards in other colors that were printed, but if Ruby was awful last set, you're not going to see, even though powerful cards printed in Ruby and powerful cards printed in Amber, you're not going to see them instantly
Right.
go up to the top. I think just from what we've seen.
Right, and the
Willow
deck has
for
to
sure
be built
makes
around it.
dogs. Yeah, Willow for sure makes dogs just. Dogs was
Faster.
great before, but it's just one turn. It makes them one turn faster. You know.
Yeah.
If they have to awkwardly wait for like turn 4 to get a good tramp off, and they do that tramp to find their Chromacon, and if they're getting their Chromacon down on turn 5 instead of on turn 4, that's like a huge difference in like a tempo swing, right? So like saying like they probably. I mean, there's a reason you look at these percentages for like the conversion and why dogs has like a much higher conversion than it did in Richmond. You know, it's still like it's still Blurple, Purple Steel, dogs, blue green are like the decks that are performing in the top. Obviously, there's other spice in there that we saw, like a locations deck in top 32. Purple Steel, we saw
Top
some different blue
16
green
or
lists.
top
We
8,
saw
I think. Like that location deck did very well.
Yeah, like I said, there will be things that creep through like that for sure. But like obviously, still the top decks are that, but there also hasn't been that much time to. And yeah, you could have like experimented with cards like way beforehand, and the top players do. You know, we have been as well. You know, us top players here, experimenting with the cards for weeks beforehand. You know, but whether you're like confident enough to like make that decision, bring it to a DLC, and like try to run it, like that's a whole different story. Like, sure, I'm gonna try to do that for this tournament coming up Saturday, but it's also not World's Invite Potential tournament. You know, it's
I
win an iconic aerial tournament. It's a little bit
think
different.
you need to look at my win percentages ratio again on Play Hub before you go saying top player here.
Yeah, for sure.
Win
I
percentage
would
isn't
consider Rachel
everything.
one of our.
I think it will. It could change a little bit over time. Like you might see like one or two decks creep up and start eating some of that percentage, especially if people are going to be like, okay, dogs is on top and Blurple is on top, and these are the decks to beat.
It'll curve out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Purple Steel. There were a bunch of Purple Steel decks that were not playing any item hate this weekend, so you just lose to dogs, right? Their Blurples were unteching Wasabis. Like their lists were including some new cards and taking out the techs for those matchups, and now all of a sudden you're losing those matchups. Of course, you're going to see like that kind of skew, you know.
Yeah, so a couple things because I am gonna I have to push back. I think
He's
this is
gonna
our
push
first.
back.
I think this is our
Finally,
first
don't
big
push too hard.
first big podcast argument. But I think so. You guys are saying like Willow's an easy include, Let It Go's an easy include. Like, yeah, obviously because they're the most powerful cards in the set. Like, people are gonna include them no matter what deck
Mhm.
they're in because they're the most powerful cards. So when you make the one of the most powerful decks from last set, get one of the most powerful cards from this set, obviously the deck is gonna be good. Like, this deck will forever be a player in this meta just because it is one of the most powerful decks that got one of the most powerful pieces. Same thing goes for Blurple. Like, Let It Go is objectively a very strong card in this deck that's already trying to do some control-y things. Like, so they are very clearly getting these pieces that they don't have to sub, like, it's not like a side grade to this different
It sounds like
archetype.
you're agreeing with us, though, right
No,
now.
but it sounds like you're agreeing with me because you guys are saying like you guys are saying that the meta's gonna change like drastically. I'm saying
No, that's what you
I
said.
don't think it can change
No,
drastically.
I don't think it was that
No, no.
drastic.
no. So
I think if we want to
okay,
see
and
different
then
colors,
yeah, you said
creep
it's
in,
gonna
it's gonna
curve out.
take
So I'm
time.
saying
Yeah.
this is
You gotta
gonna be the
remember
tier.
too that new decks take time to learn to play against other decks, and there's
Yeah.
when you're playing
Right.
against someone
So they're gonna be
who's
tier
playing
2
like
or 3 decks.
Blurple, you know, I've been playing Blurple for the past 3 sets. I have that repetition. I have that
Experience.
practice
Yeah.
against a bunch of different scenarios. Whereas if someone has built this new deck, it may be very good, but they need to learn. They need to
fine tune
Played
it.
it.
Yeah, well,
Reps it.
then we get
Against
into
all of
like the how many percentage points you're getting by how many reps you're getting with the deck. So what I'm just saying is this meta from this event, this is going to be the meta that we're playing into for probably the rest of the set
It's
because
probably the meta you should definitely prep for sure.
yeah, and if
Oh
people
yeah.
keep prepping for
No,
this
I
meta,
think.
hold on, let me continue.
Go ahead.
So if this meta is going to curve out, it still means that these decks are going to be the top, and then the decks below them are just going to get closer, which just means that this is the meta that we're still playing into. So the meta hasn't changed. We've just gotten some more tier 2, tier 3 decks, which is like fine. And we said that going into this set that there were a lot of cool ideas that they were playing around with. But now we're seeing like these decks are still like the decks they were last set, and it's still the decks that are going to be the problem. And there hasn't been a huge shakeup, unless there's going to be a huge shakeup a couple months down the road, halfway through the set, when somebody comes out with a deck that happens to be good into the rest of the field. I think the I think the gap between these decks, because they've gotten such powerful cards, has become wider, and it becomes more of a struggle for those lower decks to then creep up into something that is viable, just because these decks are getting more powerful cards. And I would argue that Purple Seal is probably the deck that got the least. But it's still a very strong deck, and it has been. But like, if you find more decks at Purple Seal level, like, yeah, they'll be good. But I do think that Purple Seal is probably the worst out of the four of those top four. And it's because it hasn't gotten the most upgrades. Except Blue Green also is just like, it just has a board wipe, I guess. So I don't know. But yeah, I think this is the meta that we will be playing into. It's the meta that you should prep for, which we all agree. I just think maybe our outlook, and I guess mine's maybe like doom and gloom, but I think it's like spoiler for next podcast, but we're going to talk about this. Like, does something need to change? And I have opinions on that. And that's
Do you
for
think
another podcast.
the metas change less the closer to a set rotation you get?
Yeah.
Yes,
Probably.
because you're playing with a card pool that's like, it has so many strong cards in it already that you're just trying to fit some cards. But I mean, that's like what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to get like upgrades throughout the set, I guess, for the bigger sets. So, or for the bigger decks. But is that really how, like, this whole rotation has been these decks so far? So is that what we want to play with?
For just the way they've been printing the sets, like most outside of like the gargoyle stuff kind of being like its own package that's like seen play, most of the other cards have like been, these are strong cards that you'll fit into this deck.
Right,
Purple
like these
Steel,
are
I think,
clear upgrades.
most example of like, oh, I have like multiple different gargoyles in here that are play together and are synergistic, right? But you're not playing like there's no like something comes out in Winterspell that you're like, oh, this is my new deck. I mean, they kind of like with the like the Pocahontas, like purple yellow is like an archetype you could probably play as like an aggro deck. Is that better than dogs? You know, maybe not. Or like an amber steel, completely like Lilo and Stitch focused, like amber steel aggro deck as well as like another archetype that I pushed in there, but you're not necessarily like, it's going to be like an instant like, oh, here's so many powerful cards that we're just got this deck like handed to us like you do in other games.
I really want to get my purple green boost to a good spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing,
There's so many cards in that color combo that like, yeah, with the Donald it would pop off, but you just gotta
taking time.
So because I think this has gone on for a little, I just want to wrap this up by saying it's not like I'm not trying to doom, but like on our topic of like meta or like tournament preparation, this is the meta that you're gonna have to look out for, I think.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about breaking it a little more on the main topic. They kind of segue into each other. But Ivan, any more thoughts on that? Maybe on a lighter note before we get into the main topic.
I think expectations need to be set, and I think the expectation of let's have a whole new meta, I think is too soon. I think tempering your expectations, like, okay, it's going to be the same meta just with a few new additions that curve one way or the other, in my opinion, is the better expectation. And then from here, like you said, this should be the expectation of the meta going forward and playing into that now. Because now people are going to see, okay, I got to prepare for dogs. Am I going to put item hate into my deck? Am I going to have to compensate for now the mirror matches in Blurple? Is that going to go poorly? And this is actually going to go right into the tournament preparation conversations. Okay, how do we prepare now that we have an idea of what people might be preparing for? So I'm going to be a Blurple player that prepares for this meta. What happens when I go into another Blurple player that also prepared for this meta, and we're both looking at each other with our
Wasabis.
wasabis, right? Or what happens when I'm playing wasabi and my opponent's playing second star to the right, which is the classic, the first Blurple player to play at second star wins. So like it's gonna be interesting, like who adapts, who doesn't adapt, who suffers for adapting, who wins for adapting, because it's gonna be part, did you adapt? Are you getting the right matchups? Did you win the die roll? So it's gonna be interesting. So going into this tournament preparation conversation, I'm ready.
Okay. So, to preface this conversation, this is all very like recent in all of our minds because there's an event this Saturday. You three are going to, and I will hopefully be attending, but it's very possible that I will not. I'm trying to get my shift covered or swapped just so I can make it out there. It is in Canada. While Ivan's trying to pull up the name, I just wanted to.
I got it.
You got it? Okay, what is it?
Yeah. It's the Lorcana 2500 Mystery Wheel Tournament. First place is getting an iconic aerial, ethereal voice, and an invite to top 32 GTA Invitational. And then packs for top 8. There's a 2K Mystery Wheel with some enchanted. Be the best placing of the 15 color combinations and win a Mystery Wheel spin. And then this is going to take place in Oakville, Ontario.
I just know if I'm going, I'm going to need a ride. So Ivan will be my ride probably. So I don't even need to know where we're going. He's just
And
going to take
that
me.
means I'm all your rides. 'Cause
Ooh.
The three of us are going together.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay, okay.
Might be joining us.
So,
right,
fun
Rachel's
fact:
I
driving.
know Elijah might be
there's
joining us. It might be a five-person.
Who else might be
carpool.
joining?
Rocky,
Rocky might be
Nice.
joining too.
the dog.
The
not
dog,
the
not
dog.
the.
Interesting fact: already at least 50 to 60 people are signed up for that.
That's awesome. And that's why I want to make it out. Like big tournaments are fun. But going into that, since we all have this event and we all have now this idea of what the meta is gonna be like, how have you guys been preparing for this event? Has there been a decision to switch to a more maybe viable deck or a deck you're more comfortable with? Uh, well, I know Rachel has because Rachel's been playing some Blurple. Ivan, I know you've been testing with kind of a bit of everything, but has your like mentality on the deck you're testing changed at all? Like going into this event, how are you thinking about it? Is it more of just a fun time that you're gonna show up for, or has there been some real testing for it?
There's still time.
There's still time. The classic.
It's
There's
my
still
favorite
time.
quote. There's still time, which is bad because I should be practicing one deck going into a tournament.
Yes, yes.
Yes, I know. I'm bad.
So since you're not
Um,
doing ideal testing, what do you think your ideal testing would be for this event?
So I've decided I am not playing Blurple. I just don't want to.
Blurple's best deck in
Um,
format, I think.
yes, but the Blurple. So here's my reasoning.
Yeah.
The Blurple mirror match is awful.
Fair enough.
It's not very fun, and it can sometimes just be who's got ramp into Genie, into Elsa, into Demona, or whatever the build might be at the time. So it's terribly predictable and not terribly fun or flexible, really. And if we're going to go into that mirror match, eh, you know, it's not that fun to begin with. But then you have to. So the mirror match is almost like a 50-50, almost. Then you got to think about dogs. All right, how am I going into dogs and preparing for dogs? Because we're going to see it. It's going to happen. Generally speaking, I always felt like I had an okay time against dogs. Like I feel like I play around Chromacon pretty well, and you can Hades and Elsa and Cheshire Cat and all that jazz. Like I feel like it's not that terrible of a matchup, but I feel like most people agree that it's not a favorable matchup for Blurple. So I'm like, sure. And then you've got things like green blue, which is just an awful thing to play against. Just awful. I hate it. So it's like, all right, so did I just convince myself to not play Blurple? And for me, I've already given Blurple a chance. I brought it to Richmond. I brought it to a few other tournaments. I think I brought it to one set champs. Maybe I forget. I don't know. But like for now, I'm thinking like if I'm going to truly test something, I kind of want to test Ruby Amethyst more than anything, which is what I played last Monday. I ended up playing against Amber Amethyst, and I won that one. But that feels like a very 50-50 matchup. Played into Blurple and won, and that felt like kind of that was a 2-0, but it felt more even than it ended up being. And then I faced Blurple again, actually. And that one went to game 3, and it went to like perfect line, and it's hard to beat that, even against green blue. Like when someone hits that perfect line, it's like, well, nothing I can really do. So I don't know. Right now, I would rather play Ruby Amethyst because I think at some point in time I was like, I'm not losing to aggro. I'd rather just beat up on aggro and lose to purple steel, lose to everything else. I refuse to lose to aggro. So I think that's my mentality right now. I don't know if that's going to change though. So we'll see. I'm comfortable with Ruby Amethyst. I love it. And I don't know. We'll see if there's anything else that pops up. I really like blue red too, but again, not enough testing and not enough tools, I think. But we'll see.
I will ask you a question about blue red in a little, but you've also been testing with blue green. You did bring it to
Yes, I
one of
did.
our leagues, and you're just dropping it? Don't want to play it? What's the thought there?
Okay, so blue green. First of all, I don't have 4 Cindy's, so that might be a factor. But I did end up going 2-1 with that, and it's honestly, it's not really that fun to play. That's the biggest like thing with it. It's like, well, I guess because all your plays are almost predestined. Where you're just, well, I guess I got Clarabelle. I'll draw these cards. Oh, looks like I got Prince Philip combo. Guess I'll do that. Oh, I got Let It Go. Clarabelle start. Guess I'll do that. And then you like Basil, and then you're like discarding their hand with your ×1 bend to my will that I randomly draw. It's like, well, I did this now. I don't know. It just wasn't a lot of fun, honestly. And I saw Austin nodding a little bit because I know he's played with some blue green. It's like it's almost draining for me. And he's playing the Ink Geyser version, which means the games last even longer. I'm like, ugh, doing this for a full hour at least. But yeah,
I am very much on that opinion that blue green is just not fun to play. I've played blue green. I refuse to play it. I'm not playing this set. Don't care. Not gonna happen. I caved for Richmond. I was like, I gotta play it to have like a deck that I'm comfortable with for this tournament. But yeah, and the Prince Philip, it's just not fun to play. It's boring.
And quick note,
He did do
he
well
beat
with it.
he did do really well with it. Beat some high profile players with it, and
Made day two.
Yep.
Shout out to Josh. Sorry for nixing your day two potential at the very last second. But yeah, like the deck is good. It's just not fun to play. Like as someone who enjoyed playing blue green in the past with like Fishbone Quill to get your Clarabelles out and Hero Hamada shenanigan. Like you could play a fun version of blue green, but just the board white Prince Philip combo, whatever nonsense, is just not fun to play for me. But like it's good, but
it's crazy to say that this deck is really good, but I don't want to play it because it's not fun.
it's not fun.
Well,
It's just not fun.
well, that's how it was in the Fabled Blurple meta. I was playing Blurple and I was not having a good time with it. I was so done with it by the time the next set came out, but then I was like, oh, this feels better now. When we got the cat and the boost shenanigans, it became more fun.
Yeah, Blurple being who draws and resolves second star first was not fun to witness.
Yeah.
Or clearly not to play either. So
Okay, I guess that brings up a question because like I feel like you've kind of answered it. At least Ivan has, and maybe Austin has a little because he refuses to play blue-green. But do you think that how much fun you're having with a deck affects your performance with the deck?
absolutely.
Because the deck you didn't want to play because it wasn't fun, you did very well with. But in general, is that how it goes, or was that the outlier?
I think I wouldn't say it's an outlier. It definitely like affects my like mood for the tournament though, and like your mood going into the tournament is like a big thing. Obviously, I think I had a good mood in general because we were part of like the huge group that went to Richmond, and
It was just a
I made
very
a
good
lot
time.
better than if I just showed up on my own with a deck that I don't want to play.
Right.
Also, if I was playing like a stock blue green, it might have been a different story than I'm playing Inkgeyser in my deck. So there was some spice that made it like somewhat fun. But when I was playing just stock blue green to like learn the Prince Philip lines, I was like, this is too brain dead. Not that there wasn't like decision making and whatever, right? But it was just not for me. Not for me. Not for blue green. Not Austin's blue green. Not what he wants to do. But it does like if I'm going to this tournament on Saturday, I want to play something that I'm going to enjoy, not also just I know all the lines and I'm gonna try to do well. Obviously, you want to do well. Like you're gonna enjoy it all if you win the tournament. That's gonna be a big source of enjoyment. But also, if you're just this is not fun to play at all. Like I say, if you hate blurple mirrors, you're not going to want to do 6 blurple mirrors all day to secure your win. Part of
what I find. Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was going to say, like segueing into like my prep for the tournament. What's unique about this tournament specifically is that there is like a prize for best performing ink combination for like the whole tournament. So if I show up with green red and I'm the best green red player in the room
and the only green
I'm getting
red.
something at least, which is cool. That's a cool incentive for like making it so your different like decks are showing up, right? So for myself, I want to show up with Ruby Amber no matter what, and I'm kind of forcing it. But if I could be the best Ruby Amber player in the room and get something, even if I don't top the tournament, like that's definitely for this tournament specifically has affected my prep. But I am keeping in mind like what am I going to see there? And Elijah, we've talked about this before on the podcast, but it's like make it an off color or like an off meta deck, but you still want to make it like as best as you can. So, like including cards like Horseman's, the Grab Your Bow, really strong song. how can I abuse grab your bow as much as possible? Strength manipulation and singers. You're in amber for strength manipulation and singers. You got some singers in red with power line. I've cut the power line portion, but you still got singer fives with the goofy. You got singer fours with the little power line, and those are decently statted cards. Like Max Goof being a 4/3 that Cheshire Cat can't really swing into very easily. None of the early stuff can really swing into it without dying. You have the Rush power line if you're singing songs, the 4/3. Like these cards that are off meta, but just have the right stats enough to like deal with what you're dealing with, right? Grab your bow, obviously, really strong into dogs. Want to max out? If I could play 4 without bricking, I would. Because if I could kill 2 things every single turn, like even if they get a Chromagon down, because if I don't Mowgli it out of their hand, there's no item response in that ink color. I'm pretty sure combination. The only thing is Mowgli out of the hand first. But if you're dealing with two of their characters every turn, just by singing, or by playing the big horseman 5-cost character that's puffing up your other characters, that helps you deal with their board even easier. Like I think it's going to be an okay time, and that's kind of why I was gearing toward this in the first place. Because if dogs is top of the meta, a super low to the ground, challenge focused Ruby Amber deck, it's gonna help out with that. But you can't also ignore the other pieces. So like Blurple is tough, but again, Grab Your Bow kinda is helpful for that. You know, you could take out a Genie and an Elsa that has tried picking apart your board a little bit. But you gotta have the singer survive is the tough part.
Right.
For that matchup.
So I think,
which is what I've been kind of dealing with and trying to figure out.
I think a big takeaway from that is like, as long as your fun deck is like, it has good play into the decks above, like, and you enjoy it more, like there is just a good chance that like even if you get like smoked the first round of the event, you'd just be like, I'm on the deck I want to play, and you have a better time recovering. And like,
Nope.
oh, okay. Rachel, why don't you go ahead?
I don't want. I don't want to. I brought my green steel Webby deck to Richmond for the main event, and I had a lot of reps on it, and it did decent at league and stuff. Like it wasn't doing bad, but it bricked so hard in Richmond. I wanted to cry by like round 3 because it was not even fun. I was just getting completely smoked. I'm like, why did I bring this?
So maybe it's
Yeah,
a
that can't
fine
happen
line.
now.
Maybe it's a fine line you gotta toe.
A little bit. So it could go badly, but I still encourage you to, give
And then
try.
Yeah,
For-
when I draw triple Grab Your Bow, no inkables in my hand, I will cry. Yes. So
Oh no.
I at least
that card should have been
brought it
inkable.
back. I at least did bring Blurple as backup, so day 2 for the side event, I did just one of the core constructed. I played that, and I had my fun then.
Yeah,
So
well,
thank God.
and that kind of goes into your choice for this event because you're choosing Blurple, right?
Yeah, I'm going for redemption a little bit just to make myself feel better.
And like, so like, what was your thought process going into picking that deck for this instead of like a different deck? Like, there are
I
other decks at the
knew-
top, and you've been testing green, purple, and stuff. So, what was your thought process?
I know green purple still needs work, and I just didn't have the time to give it that work this last week and a half before this tournament. And I have the reps on Blurple. I have the cards for it. It's something I'm familiar with. I don't mind playing it anymore. Like I actually do like playing it.
like the mirror wise, you mean?
Even mirror wise,
Yeah.
I can handle it much better now.
Especially since it's not second star shenanigans.
Yes, yes. that was not
Now
fun.
it's just demolish
So it
shenanigans.
just felt right for me. So I did even shortly like build a version of dogs and try to play it, but I'm not good with it. Like I don't know how to play the deck right.
Yeah, don't have the mulligan and the reps on it, right? So
It does sound like there are some reps you need with that deck.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that was fun.
I do think
one interesting consideration for this tournament is just that it's like, I mean, locally we don't really get big tournaments that are a week from set release. I know for Fabled, we went down to Georgia like a week after set release and played in a big tournament there for the CCS or the CCQ at Charlie's. Ivan, got the top
Eight?
16, top 8, right? In that
Top 8,
tournament?
yeah.
Yeah, top 8. It was like 6th place overall. That's why I had the 6 in my mind. But yeah, so like that was like one of those where like we really had to like really prep with limited knowledge of. That one was a little easier, I'd say, just because here's 30 new cards, and then these are the cards that you're keeping, right? So work with that. We still had to figure out like what meta call would be and like what's going to look good, and a lot of play testing for that. That was a set rotation, so that's a little bit different than this. But now it's also for this last portion, even though we have the cards and we knew like what the cards are going to be. It's like, yeah, here's 2 weeks. Figure out what you want to play and have it like ready to go. Have all the physical cards ready to go as well for this tournament. That's been a unique
I mean, we're
aspect
fortunate.
of this.
We
prep.
have a very communicative league locally, and everyone's pretty good about borrowing and making sure everyone's covered.
Yeah.
And if you want to test something out, yeah, here.
I mean, that is the first
Alright.
obstacle is, do you have the cards to build the deck that you want? And I feel like locally, I don't think I've ever seen someone be short on cards whenever
Yeah,
we
I think
went
like
to like
we won't have
Georgia
a
or
problem getting cards for this
Yeah.
tournament. Some people might. Like if people are going
I
to
know
I want to play Ohana.
The
instantly.
Melbourne players, I guess, the locals especially, like I guess they had supply shortages in Australia. Like there was not a lot of winter spell cards, so the people coming from out of town actually had some advantage as far as
Yeah.
getting new cards. So
Yeah, I
that
guess
could
that
have
yeah, with like a
some-
early release, like an event very early into the release of a set, that could be an issue that we hope doesn't
Yeah, I suppose if this
quite get for a
tournament
while.
was a month from now, we would have more test time under their belt. We could have maybe more, tech inclusions to consider by then. Like we would just have more meta time to figure something out. For myself, I don't care. I'll be the best Ruby Amber player in the room. If I win the whole thing, then that's awesome. If I just get my wheel spin for being the best Ruby Amber player, then I'll also do that. I'll win the Enchanted Dumbo wheel spin and
Perfect.
feel better than first place. So.
Awesome. All right. Ivan, how about you? What is your like thought process going into this event? I know you said like your deck decision you're pretty comfortable on, but I want to know like what are you thinking about, like the decks you're playing into when you're playing Ruby Amethyst? What are your decisions about like the meta? Like what decks am I good into? What am I kind of playing to my weaknesses of? You said you have some tough matchups. And like because that meta, maybe you have some tough matchups in the meta, is playing Ruby Amethyst for fun? Like is that just gonna make you play better into the meta just because you enjoy the deck and it's not blue green? Like I guess that's something you don't know, but like going into this event, do you feel more confident in yourself even if the meta pick is like maybe less good because it's not one of the proven top decks? Like do you still feel more confident in your ability to play because it's like a deck you enjoy more?
I mean, I'm always pretty confident with whatever deck I end up playing, if I'm being honest, just because one of the advantages of playing around with so many different decks is that you get an idea of the flow of a deck. So like I've practiced with dogs, so I get an idea of what that looks like. I've practiced with green blue, just so I can see and feel like what it's like on the other end, what hurts like from that side of things. That's how I ended up coming up with the library counter to blue green, um, which is pretty effective, honestly. But purple steel, ruby amethyst, amber steel, green steel. So like all the different color combos that I can think of, green, purple, all the different deck types, even within those. Uh, just having an idea of how those decks work helps me make the decision. I'm like, okay, because I'm confident in my own play style where I know what plays to do, and some of it, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, is like green blues. It's not necessarily brain dead, but you kind of know what moves need to happen. Like if I'm playing Blurple, turn one Basil, turn two Ramp, turn four or turn three Genie, turn four Elsa, turn five Demona. Like there's not a lot of room there. Um, if I'm playing aggro, it's like Daisy, 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 Grandmother Willow. I don't know, but like the lines are there
Yeah.
already. It's just whether or not I can play around that. And I think one of the reasons why I like Ruby Amethyst is because against that aggro matchup, I feel like I'm more prepared for that to lead into the mid game and late game, because the mid game and late game is where I feel like I can shine the most, where once it starts really coming down to the small intricacies, the small play errors or play mistakes, or like there's more room for stuff, the closer we get to that is not just, I don't want to say it exposes those little weaknesses, but it kind of does. Like if I go against a brand new player and they happen to be playing X deck, if we're getting to turn 5 or 6 and I feel like I'm in control, I'm like, there's not much that this person's going to be able to do to play around what I already have done. So like the later the game goes, the more confident I get. But if someone opens their first four, they're playing blue green and they open the You're Welcome Clarabelle perfect opener, I'm like, well, what can I do from there? Yeah, I know.
I would
But like
never.
and it's funny now because now you have ISIS that can actually interrupt that a little bit earlier, or Tigger that can interrupt that a little bit earlier. So there's all these little things that happen now, which I think Tigger in particular, but Tigger and ISIS are two cards that can lead me into that mid game, into that late game where now, okay, now we're playing this game. We're not just playing autoplay. Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah,
No,
I did.
yeah. I think one of the big things is like you you kind of have a fairly broad play style, but you do
I'm a
tend
conservative play style.
right. You do tend to like hone in to your play style when picking a deck for an event. So maybe like playing a deck you're more comfortable with and then that like makes you have more fun with the deck. So then like everything like kind of culminates into you having a better tournament. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I like consistency. If I can
right.
consistently not brick, which is basically playing a good opener, line opener, like the hard part with Blurple is I love Blurple, but like what happens when you don't get ramp? Like, okay, got to play yourself out of that one, I guess. Um, but Ruby Amethyst, I love Ruby Amethyst. I can't help it. But like the matchup against Purple Steel, for example, that could be terrible. And most of the time it is terrible, but uh, it's still fun. I'm like, darn those. They're very similar to each other, except for the strength of a raging fire. It's like you have that, but I don't now. But now I have ISIS, so maybe that can even out a little bit.
Yep. I think I didn't really answer this question, but like my only thought about that I really have is I've kind of only played Purple Steel, and I think as I've played it more, the less fun I'm kind of having with it. And I'm I think if I continue to play it, I will get a little uh aggravated or agitated with just like everything. So I think I have to just switch off just to like clear my brain on the deck, and like I do think that maybe just like not tilting by playing a different deck might be my best course of action. Whether that is Blurple because it's kind of similar, just like I don't know. So I
I
do
mean, you
think
can
like
play Purple Steel and just play the different style with the Yzma Angel. Like even
I
just
mean that's where
mixing
the
it
deck
up.
maybe has to go right now. It's not even that different. Like I'm not sure. Like the deck stays pretty similar. I just think we'll have to see. Maybe I'll switch to Blurple. Maybe I'll switch to something. I just think like I wasn't having a lot of fun with Purple Steel before Richmond, and then I think I should have brought a different deck. I don't want that to keep happening. So I think maybe it's time to switch off just so I don't tilt. And if I go to an event and I bring Purple Seal and then I do poorly, I will now be aggravated with myself. So
What's funny is that leading up to Richmond, you were on fire. Like you were doing really well with Purple Steel. It's just that Richmond, you saw the just
yeah, I don't know.
from round one. It was just a 50-50 and it landed the other person's way.
Yeah, I think maybe some things didn't break my way. Maybe it was just a wrong deck decision. Like, but if I ran the tournament back again, I think it would have played out pretty similar with that deck no matter what. So I'm really not sure. Um, I do think the deck you're having fun with will ultimately lead you to better results than if you just pick up a meta deck and do well. But you have to have the reps with the fun deck, and you have to be
Or
competitive
meta deck.
about do you have to you have to have purpose in why you're playing cards in the fun deck into the meta. But as long as it's your fun deck, if you have the reps, I think you can still do well with it. It's just, and if you have fun playing a meta deck, then it's just like kind of perfect.
Do you find yourself having trouble letting go of a deck because you've invested so much in it? Like,
Absolutely.
you know, I
Yeah,
just
I think
spent
that's a
all
good
this money
question.
on these Dumbos. I can't let go of Blurple. I have all these Dumbos or Demonas.
To,
Like purple is a
uh,
heavy investment.
I think, I think I have kind of cemented this as my hobby. Um, so I'm pretty much like I will go buy the cards I need for the deck. I especially haven't bought a lot of cards from this set just in case. I mean, it might be like subconscious that I think about it, but I think like if if I really wanted to go play dogs, would I go play dogs? Speaking of dogs, um,
That's such a good boy.
uh,
Um,
I think I would
Rachel, I
go
saw
pick up
you
one of
nodding
those.
a little bit. Do you agree with that a little bit? Where, or Austin even, where you've invested so much inside of one deck that you're like, well, I got
Oh
to
yeah.
play this. Otherwise, what was the
I
point of getting all
did
these?
not need to see how much my Blurple deck costs. Luckily, I've been playing it, so long that it's been a not all at once investment, but now that I'm seeing it all together now, I'm like, oh,
My
Oof.
Yeah, my nod was less of like a. I mean, there's the financial aspect. Mine was I was nodding less financially, like because I bought these cards, and more like I have invested so much time into like knowing the play
yeah.
lines and patterns for blue green,
That's
and
what it
it's like
is.
I just don't want to play it anymore. But it's
That's
like
a
I
super
can't
good
like
point.
that's for last set. I was like I really don't want to have to play this, but it's like it's what I have the most.
It becomes a
Reps
comfort.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could play blue green until Clarabelle rotates if I really wanted to, but it's just like, do I want to? Not really.
Yeah, I think
But it's like it's hard to let that go kind of as well.
I think there is a point where probably your percentages that you're gaining from getting more reps on a deck starts dwindling. And like if you have perfected a deck like 92%, to get to 95% will take months, but to get from like 60% on a deck to 90%, it's probably easier. So maybe you don't have to focus on spending so much time on a deck. Like maybe I can switch up. Maybe the switch off of purple steel is easier just because like I am comfortable with the amount of reps I'm on and don't feel like I have to keep pushing myself on the deck to try to get myself better at it. So maybe it's like time to switch. So I feel like I don't personally have, like from the non-financial standpoint, I think if I wanted to switch off a deck, I think I could. Just because like I feel comfortable with the amount of reps I have with the deck, but it is very possible that like somebody's still getting their percentages and trying to master a deck and doesn't want to switch off just yet, so they can kind of figure out their lines and get used to it. All right, I do have another question because we've been talking very broad strategies, and that's kind of the way I had those questions leaning, was like your general thoughts about how you prepare for an event. But I want to know how you guys prepare night before, day before. Like you are now going to this event. Are you settling yourself down? Like what are you making sure happens so that you have a good tournament the next day, or at least have a good time, but hopefully prepare yourself for a good showing at the event. So Rachel, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Usually just like the day before, I'll maybe play a couple games with friends, or just maybe on a couple matches that like maybe I don't feel too confident on, or just want a few extra reps, but I'm not gonna overdo it by any means. Like, and if I don't feel like doing it, I'm not gonna, like, I'm pretty chill the day before, and I'm not gonna stay up and grind away at getting those last games in, because I just don't want to wake up already feeling like I ran a marathon with that deck. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Austin, how about you?
Honestly, same. Like I think like you can prep like as much as you want for like a tournament, but I don't think like stressing out over it and like trying to like last minute testing in like the night before is like the more like thought you're putting into that, like literally like hours before or night before the tournament, is just, it's just going to drain yourself.
you're gonna overthink yourself
mentally. Like as much as I didn't want to really do that much like playtesting the night before Richmond, or even Milwaukee for that example. I was like, in Milwaukee, like the group that we were traveling with from Syracuse, they were like, they wanted blue green rep matchups, and I was like, I'm the only one who's bringing blue greens. So I was like, I guess I'll have to stay up and help these guys test. So I was like, do I really want to be up late testing? Not really. So I'm definitely usually just make sure I have everything I need for the tournament, like sleeves, new sleeves if I need them. Just get a good rest. We'll worry about, if we want to do like a match or to like warm up match the morning of, like right before the event, that's fine. But I'm not going to be like focused on it the night before, like stressing about it. It just, you're over, like Rachel said, you're overhyping yourself for something that might not, you're going to spend too much energy on something that's you don't really need to the day before.
Yeah. Ivan, how about you?
Stress, 100%. No,
There's still time.
There's still time. Yeah.
That is the
that is Ivan.
What? No, there's still
Yeah,
time.
that was you. You had that dining table covered at the Airbnb. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and I ultimately made the wrong choice, but I think in an ideal situation, you're just going to want to get your sleep, and you're going to want to make sure that all your stuff is in order: sleeves, dice, notebook, pen, like all your bag, your mat. As long as all of that is settled, the deck stuff, deck
Check
list, all that jazz.
Check your sleeves. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good checklist for the night before, because I don't want to stress out about where's my bag, where's my deck, where's my dice. Do I have everything I need? So I think in an ideal world, you just sleep and make sure your checklist is done,
Yeah,
unless there's still time.
right. There's still time. I think generally, if it's the night before, there is not still time. So, I think I think the most important thing, first of all, the most important thing above all else, and I can say this. So I have a CPAP. I have sleep apnea. I always do better at a tournament when I wear that thing the night before. I think sleep is probably the most important thing to help you prep for an event. As long as you've gotten the reps before that. But we're saying night before, get a good rest. And I think Ivan has a very good point of maybe make sure everything is set for you so you don't got to worry about anything in the morning. Like how maybe before work one day you set out your clothes just fully so when you wake up in the morning, you could just hop in the shower if you're a morning shower and then just change and go and you don't have to worry about it. Like having that with all of your with your playmat and everything. I think that's a very good point. Like the least amount of mental space that needs to be taken up on the day of to like help just get you out the door, I think is best. So sleep, making sure you're prepared. I think not stressing about the exact cards that are in your deck is a good idea because I think you have spent so much time figuring out this 60. Like let's say you have like 50 to 100 reps. Are you really going to go playtest one game and make a decision on 4 cards from your 60? Is that like really how you want to do this?
Maybe
And
you didn't
then
get any sleep.
sure, you wouldn't get any sleep and sleep's the most important. So I think you kind of just like for me, I get very stressed and I put a lot of pressure on myself to do well at the events. And I think at least when we had our Airbnb, like it was I needed to take a sec and just realize like I'm here with my friends. This has been set up. Shout out to Rachel for setting it up in the Airbnb.
Hmm.
Um like we're having a great time. I feel that I have prepared for this event. I feel as though my friends have all helped me prepare for this event. I just need to get some good sleep and be confident. And ultimately, while I didn't do well at the event, I think my day of preparation was correct. And I think that preparation was not missed and not why I did poorly at the event. So I think sleep is the most important. But I think you need to be a little confident in yourself. Know that when you walk in that door that you have made a decision that you are comfortable with and you're confident that you will do well. And then if you don't, you can't beat yourself up too much because you did
That's
everything
okay.
right and sometimes it's a card game. Like things don't break your way all the time. We're working on percentages. If you're 60-40, that means you're favored, but you still lose 40% of the time. So you're sometimes going to hit those 40%. And I think that's something to keep in mind. And it's definitely
I don't
tilting.
like those.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you never hit those actually. You just keep going. But yeah, I think sleep.
For sure.
I think that's kind of a good place to end it. Does anybody else have any other thoughts before we leave about your tournament prep? Is there anything special you want to point out? Is there actually I have one question.
Uh-oh.
What
Uh-oh.
what kind of music do you guys listen to before an event? Do you pop in some earbuds and listen to music?
Not in the slightest. I have
Oh,
my
I mean, I
own
enjoyed
radio
Disney
going
on the
on.
way there.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. You guys don't play some Be Prepared? You don't start blasting Be Prepared or Friends on the Other Side? when you're in the car going to an event.
Let me think of all the songs that are in my deck, and I'll start singing
Well,
those.
I
Good
on my
plan.
way
Later.
to my Stitch set champ win, the place
I
was
made
only
the
like
playlist.
3 minutes from my house, and I played Be Prepared, and then I won the event. So like, and I wasn't playing Be
Oh,
Prepared in my deck.
oh, I know it wasn't on the way there. On the way back from Richmond, I know we were jamming out to some Disney Channel movie
no.
songs,
Oh yeah,
Yeah, good
like
thing
High
that
School
wasn't
Musical.
before the event.
And
that's how we celebrate our victories.
yes,
Is the music. It's not before.
Right. Ivan, before we went to um the Upsides event, we were jamming to some metal in your car.
Yeah. I'm personally a big fan of One Big Giant Playlist. No playlist actually. Just listening to the entire library.
That's crazy,
Um,
by the way. Not having a playlist is crazy.
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah,
played.
yeah,
Kind
yeah.
of the same thing.
We
Honestly.
played Car Hangman.
Yeah, you guys got your own
Yeah.
thing going over there in that car. I don't even. I
It
don't
was
know.
fun though.
Yeah, I just pop it. Like, I'll listen
It
to
almost
Joji.
made Austin drive off the road, but
I don't think
Like,
you're
it's-
supposed to do
yeah.
that.
there were some fun games
You shouldn't look at the hangman board while you're driving and doing a.
in the mountain.
It would not be good prep to drive off the road and get into an accident.
It's
Not
true.
particularly.
when you're trying to figure out
Be safe out there.
be prepared on the Hangman.
Oh, it was be prepared, wasn't it?
If
Yeah.
Austin's on the road, be prepared because you might be looking at a hangman
true.
board.
No, that's if I'm on the road.
Okay. All right, before this goes too off the rails, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Rachel, for joining for
Thanks for having
today's
me.
podcast.
Yay.
We had some good tips, guys. You should listen to us. We always do well at events. But thank you for listening. Thank you for
Hear me
watching
now.
on YouTube. Leave a like,
Calling it now.
subscribe. Calling what now? Doing well at the event on Saturday?
Doing well at the event Saturday.
I'm showing up last minute and taking first place.
Let's
I'm
go.
gonna win first place with my deck that
Sorry,
has
I'll get
one
second.
meta card. That's it.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Leave your question of the episode down in the comments, please. We need some questions to answer. Shout out to Chris because his question ended up turning into our entire main topic. And our main topic's already set for next week. So
Why don't you leave them with a question?
no, we
Hmm.
can't be doing that. Fine. What music do you listen to in the car before you prep for
There
an event?
There you go.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. I have to go make sure my nose doesn't start bleeding anymore. So, thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.